So let's tackle a huge question today. Why does our modern world feel so organized, so systematic, so full of rules? To do that, we're going to look at it through the eyes of one of the founding fathers of sociology, Max Weber. And Weber started us off with this bombshell of an idea, the iron cage. Wow, what a powerful, almost chilling metaphor for modern life, right? This idea of a world dominated by efficiency, by calculation, and by these cold, impersonal rules. I mean, who hasn't felt that? You know that feeling like you're just a number in a system, navigating endless paperwork, following procedures just because, well, that's the procedure. That feeling is the iron cage. And what's fascinating is, Weber wanted to figure out how in the world we built this thing for ourselves.
Okay, so let's treat this like a proper mystery. The case: how did we get locked inside this cage of rationality and bureaucracy? And our lead detective on this case? None other than the man who first showed up at the crime scene, Max Weber himself.
Weber, born back in 1864, was basically obsessed with one thing: figuring out what made modern Western society so different. He looked around and just saw a world that was completely unlike anything that had come before it, and he really dedicated his entire life to explaining that massive shift.
So what was Weber's first big clue? Well, he identified this incredibly powerful force that was changing everything. He called it rationalization. And believe me, it is the key that unlocks this entire mystery.
So what does that actually mean? Put simply, it's this big societal shift, moving away from doing things because of tradition or emotion or faith, and moving towards doing things based on pure logic, calculation, and finding the most efficient way to get something done. It's like an engineer trying to design the perfect machine.
And what's the peak? The ultimate expression of this kind of thinking? You guessed it, bureaucracy. Weber saw it popping up everywhere. Think about it. Every single one of these characteristics, the hierarchy, the specialized jobs, the written rules, the impersonal relationships, it's all designed for one single purpose: maximum efficiency.
And look, this isn't just some dusty old theory. The standardized tests you took in school, the organizational chart at your job, all the forms you have to fill out at the DMV, yep, that's the bureaucratic machine humming along pretty much exactly how Weber described it more than 100 years ago.
All right, so that's the big picture, the structure of this so-called cage. But Weber, being Weber, was just as interested in the people inside it. He started asking, okay, so why do we do the things we do within these massive systems? What's our motivation?
So he came up with these 4 main types of social action. First up, you've got actions that are all about a goal, pure calculation, like studying hard to get a specific job. That's instrumentally rational. Then you have actions driven by a core belief, like donating to a cause you believe in. He called that value rational. And of course, we still do things out of habit, traditional action. And sometimes we just act based on pure emotion, which he called affective action.
And this slide just nails the difference. You can have 2 people doing the exact same thing, studying, for totally different reasons. One sees it as a logical step to get a job, the other does it for the love of learning itself. And for Weber, getting to the bottom of that why, well, that was everything.
Right, so how do you actually get to that why? How do you get inside someone's head and grasp their motivations? Well, Weber had a unique tool for this, a special term that really set his work apart.
He called it Verstehen. It's a German word, and it means so much more than just to understand. We're talking about a deep, empathetic kind of understanding. For Weber, a sociologist's job wasn't just to observe people from a distance. It's about trying to put yourself in their shoes, to see the world from their point of view, to really get the meaning they attach to what they're doing.
This is such a great way to see the difference in action. So think of 2 sociologists at a crime scene. You've got Emil Durkheim, another giant of the field. He'd be the one crunching the numbers, looking at the statistics, trying to find broad social patterns. Super useful, right? But Weber, he'd be the one using Verstehen. He'd want to sit down with the family, hear their stories, and understand the personal meaning behind it all. One shows you the what on a huge scale. The other reveals the deeply personal why.
Okay, so let's pull all these threads together. Weber painted this picture of a world that's more and more dominated by these rational bureaucratic systems. But, and this is the key, he always insisted that to really get it, you have to focus on the meanings that individuals create inside those systems.
And this idea puts Weber right in the middle of one of the biggest debates in all of sociology: agency versus structure. Basically, the question is, are we free to make our own choices, or are we just puppets controlled by the larger social system? Weber, he came down firmly on the side of agency.
He argued that even inside the tightest iron cage, it's our personal interpretations and the meanings we create that really drive what we do.
So here's the big takeaway. Weber didn't just diagnose the problem of the iron cage, he also gave us the toolkit, ideas like rationalization and Verstehen to actually analyze that system and, most importantly, to figure out our own place in it.
I mean, he mapped out our modern world with this incredible, almost scary clarity. But in doing that, he also left us with this huge, haunting question, one that feels even more urgent today than it did a century ago. Can we actually find a way to be creative, to be authentic, to live meaningful lives inside these giant systems that are built to value efficiency above everything else? Honestly, Weber himself wasn't so sure. And that question, well, that's his real legacy for all of us to wrestle with.